You asked for it and we've done it. Do you remember when we used to give you a discount straight off the bat on your eShop credit? Well, that is now back. At the moment at switchup.gg, you can use code SwitchUp to save yourself 5%. On top of that though, we're also permanently giving you 5% cash back. So effectively, you can save 10% right now by going over to switchup.gg and using code SwitchUp to buy your eShop credit. We're also introducing Apple Pay and Google Pay. What on earth do we need all that credit for? Well, the big summer sales have just begun and there are some ridiculous savings. This is an eShop sales video, but I'm going to throw in a few physicals because people ask for them. So at the end or middle end, you'll get a few physicals in there as well. I can literally picture that meme where he looks into his wallet and it's completely empty. I feel his pain, but let's push that pain to one side and find out what the best games are on sale this week. What are they? Well, welcome back to the channel. Hit all the buttons, tickle all the things. Congratulations to the winner of the free game. You're in the top pinned comment. Make sure you leave a comment below to enter. Now, let's find out. If you listen hard enough, you can hear the vinyl of this one playing in the background. It's Disco Elysium, the final cut, down to its cheapest ever price of £12.59. That is an absolute bargain. This is in my top 3 games of all time. It is a fantastic and unique take on the RPG. It places you in the role of Harry Dubois, who wakes up not knowing where he is, how he got there. He's butt naked, only to discover that actually he's investigating a murder. And, well, yeah, I'll leave the rest to you to find out. It has exceptional writing, brilliant characters. The RPG mechanics come in the form of different personality traits that you can choose before you play through, and this will affect your effectiveness at being a police officer. If I was to say hardcore to the mega, you'd be like, what on earth's just happened to Mark? But after you've played it, you'll understand, and we'll talk together about how amazing this game is. For that price, it is well worth sinking 30 hours of your life for your first playthrough, and then doing it instantly all again. What a game. Can't wait to the sequel, but one of the best soundtracks of all time. Then straight off the back of one of the best games of all time, you've got one of the best games of all time. It's Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, down to £4.24. That's absolutely ridiculous. Like, how are they going to get any lower than this? That's 83% off. It's by far the cheapest it's ever been. And that's for a huge open world RPG where you can create your own pawns. Like, no, come on, we're past that now. Their pawns are the characters you can make, and you can actually send those online to go and help other people out, and they'll come back with experience points. There is a there's a really tall Glen pawn somewhere in the world, and it was actually Irene from Isha Gaming was using the Glen pawn for a while. If you've just tuned in, this is family friendly. Get that out of your mind. I'm disappointed in you. But Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen is another one that's seeing a sequel, and it was underrated for so long. It comes from Capcom. It fits into about 12 gigs, and it has some of the best combat. Like, there's a troll at the start and you can climb up his leg, you go up his side and you're like stabbing him in the head. It's very fast paced. Brilliant action RPG and some really good little moral quandaries it puts you in. Amazing game, well worth it at that crazy price. That sale for Dragon's Dogma goes on until June the 25th. That's 2 easy wins, and then we've got Rayman Legends, the definitive edition, which is just £5.99. Again, it's cheapest ever price, 80% off, and one of the best co-op games that I've played. Now, my kids are only just reaching the age where they can actually put in a decent effort, and this one has seen a load of sales since it came out, but this is another chunk cheaper than it has ever been. It has 1 to 4 player offline, beautiful art, really good performance. It's weird, isn't it? Because a lot of the games that came out in the earlier life of the Switch performed absolutely perfectly. A very good game that fits into around about 2.9 gigs. Obviously a platform adventure. There are a few segments where you have to run away to escape something, and it will take you around about 10 hours if it's just you. If it's you and anyone that's not as good at games, then expect it to last considerably longer. Seeing as it's one of the best games we've got on Switch, the fact that The Messenger is £4.49, it's just, yeah, I don't know what to say really. Another that we have a review of on the channel. Incredibly good game. Starts out a bit like Ninja Gaiden or old school Ninja Gaiden, and then it morphs into like an open world Metroidvania. Now, if you didn't know or you hadn't downloaded it, there's actually a free DLC for this one called Picnic Panic that includes 3 new levels and bosses. So make sure you go and download it. It's good, this. Breaks the 4 fourth wall a couple of times, but the writing between the main protagonist and his little assistant's really good, and the little jump mechanic between 8 and 16-bit is very cool indeed. That one fits into 1.9 gigs, and that sale for the Messenger, like a lot of these in the summer sale, goes on until June the 25th, a couple of days after my birthday, just saying. With Diablo 4 launching on other platforms, there is a bit of Diablo hype at the moment. Diablo 2 Resurrected came out on Switch a while back, and it also is seeing its cheapest ever price down to 11 quid, the price of a mere 4 SAVALOYs. Now, it has had to have a load of patches. There are still some areas that don't run as well as they should, especially considering the age of the game, but it's seen a visual update. And look, I've got to be honest with you, a few lags and glitches, I don't really care. It's Diablo, it still feels like Diablo, and it's incredibly fun, especially if you've got a group of you online in the 1 to 4 player multiplayer. It's just a shame it doesn't have that offline. You're looking at 8.3 gigabytes. It's obviously a hack and slash dungeon crawler, emphasis on beating back the denizens of hell from their lair, using one of the different classes, the Amazon, Assassin, Barbarian, Druid, Necromancer, Paladin and Sorceress, which I've literally just read off of the blurb, because I only ever played as like a fighter thief in any game ever when I was a kid. Don't know why. Don't know what that says about me. It's 8.3 gigs, and that sale for Diablo 2 Resurrected goes on until, you guessed it, June the 25th. Check out our review in the description. Of course, I'm going to mention Hades. When I did my addictive games list, which was last week, if you missed it, go check it out. Perhaps I'll figure out how to do one of those cards in the corner. But loads of people were like, my most addictive game is Hades. And for good reason. It's absolutely slick. Like, it's so slick. The combat is fluid, it's very, very fast, easy to dodge and move around the screen, and you're clearing those areas, and it just has such a clear path to progression. What's also very cool is the writer actually included references to past attempts at boss fights, so when you go to them, they're like, remember that last time when you died? And you're like, oh, come on, don't rub it in. But this one's from Supergiant Games, fits into 5.7 gigs. We all know there's a sequel in the works, and very much looking forward to it, but it's one of those where the different weapons that you use will really change the way the game plays. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure loads of you have already escaped, but has there been someone that's been looking at this one for a while and just thought, nah, no, I'll pick it up when it goes on a very deep sale? Well, this is the deepest of sales, and it goes on until June the 25th. Eldest Souls was in the hidden gem section at one point, but now down to its lowest ever price of just over 5 quid. If you're a fan of Boss Rush games, Boss Rush, that's difficult to say. If you're a fan of those, then don't skip this one, because it has elements of Souls-like combat, but some really well thought out bosses. And at the moment it's just 5 quid until June the 25th, and I really enjoyed the world building. Now I think maybe it would have benefited from some enemies in between, so it's literally just boss fights. You don't have any other enemies to fight. There's a potential they could have fleshed the world out a little more, but I actually didn't mind it, and I thought it was quite nice just having those downtimes. It's brutal though. You've kind of got to know that going in. It's brutally difficult, and by its very nature there'll be times where you'll get very frustrated. So if you don't like those styles of games, just avoid this one completely. But if, like me, you have that strange voice inside your head that's like, one more go and we're going to get it, then yeah, this one might be worth adding to your wish list. If you want a slice of fried gold, then consider Enter the Gungeon. This is another of people's top addictive games and was mentioned many times last week. You can play solo, it's top-down, almost twin-stick controls, and it's a roguelite where you're battling through, trying to basically defeat all the bosses in a dungeon and move on to the next. It's got a real sense of style to it, of course it has. It comes from, well, it's published by Devolver. I better give credit to the actual developer, Dodge Roll. But it's a fun one to play solo, but even better if you've got a friend to join you in co-op. It's got a cracking soundtrack, and although there have been a few spin-offs and other bits and bobs, this one still more than stands its ground and stands its own as one of the best we have on Switch. On Friday night, we actually had a beat-em-up marathon, so like online beat-em-ups. It was Glen and I and Asdian from Grinning Wolf Games, and we were playing through a few beat-em-ups, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge was definitely up there. Now this sees its biggest ever discount. It's down to £15.74. It's an absolute cracker. I don't know if I would say it's as good as Streets of Rage for me. I don't think it is. I don't know, I just think I prefer the pacing of Streets of Rage. So if you don't like Shredder's Revenge, which I mean you should do, it's still a very, very good beat 'em up, then consider Streets of Rage, which is also on sale, but it's 50% off, down to $11.24. So you've got the choice of two great beat 'em ups, both of which can be played online with up to 4 people. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Turtles can actually be played with up to 6 of you, online or locally. Now all we need to do is find 6 friends. For you physical collectors, if you can grab it in time, Amazon have actually got an amazing discount on Metroid Prime Remastered, down to £24.99. There are a couple of other places as well that have it for quite cheap. It's brilliant. They did such a good job with this remaster, to the point where it almost felt like a remake in terms of the level of detail and the amount of things they'd changed, rather than simply up-resing the whole thing. A brilliant Metroidvania that just makes the transition into 3D, if you haven't played it, just makes that transition perfectly. If you've got a GTA itch and you just can't scratch it, then do pick up Shakedown Hawaii at this price. It's £4.49, or your regional equivalent, until June the 23rd. A very, very good day that, when someone great in history was born. Can't remember who though. But this takes that 16-bit open world, the whole empire building that you'd expect in something like GTA, and the carnage you'd expect from this developer. I know there's a physical of this one because I'm looking at it on the shelf, but for you digital collectors at £4.49, another bit like Retro City Rampage DX that you should really own and finish on your Switch. This sale's absolutely mad. Like, everything's the cheapest it's ever been. We're definitely going to have to make another sales video, probably midweek or something, because yeah, I mean, there's going to be so many SAVALOYs at the end. Bug Fables came out at a time where there was a lot of Paper Mario chatter and people were expecting something big, but Bug Fables actually slipped under the radar of a lot of people, and it does feel like old school Paper Mario done, I want to say, right. I'm not saying that the one we had wasn't great, but this is very, very good. It's 70% off, which is by far the cheapest it's ever been, and it's all set within a place known as Bulgaria. Not Bulgaria, Bulgaria. And it's a place where insects from all over the lands come to try and find treasure. There are 7 long chapters, loads of side quests in there, optional bosses, and yeah, Glen was raving about this at full price. So at this one, I think it's well worth the recommend. And the whole thing is just 370 megabytes. That can't possibly be right. That's got to be an error on this page, surely. Either way, a really good game and well worth it. You're looking at around about 25 to 50 hours of gameplay. That's Bug Fables at 70% off until June the 25th. One that I haven't mentioned in a long time, just because it got so many mentions at the start, but I still, especially post Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, think it does deserve a bit of a shout out. It's Immortals Phoenix Rising. Now this was made by Ubisoft, and some people really, I think, were overly critical of it. It has combat that's essentially stripped out of the Assassin's Creed series, and in all honesty is probably better than we have in Tears of the Kingdom, the actual combat system itself. The world, sure, it's not got as much to do, but there's still a lot in there. Lots of hidden Greek mythology, some quite funny writing. You get to design your own character. The thing that annoys me about Ubisoft are their stupid practices with DLC. Like, honestly, this one tries to sell you the kitchen sink every time you open the game. But if you can ignore all that rubbish and just play what the actual hard-working developers created, there's a fun time in here that certainly takes some inspiration from, well, one of the best games ever made. That sale is 80% off and it goes on until June the 25th. America, you've got a good physical discount on Shin Megami Tensei 5, down to $29.99 on Amazon. That's half price. Weirdly, someone actually had this as their game that puts Pokemon to shame with its monster collecting mechanics in that video collaboration we did with like all the Nintendo YouTubers. If you missed that one, that was quality. But yeah, they had that in there, and I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from with the fusions. But yeah, physical collectors, that's one to keep your eye on. The hidden gem before we go absolutely crazy throwing SAVALOYs everywhere is Grapple Dog, a lovely little game published by our friends over at Super Rare Games and developed by Medallion Games. This one's 60% off, by far the cheapest it's ever been, and it features 6 colourful worlds, one of those that you can just play without having to worry too much about anything. It's not over hard, but it's a decent little challenge. It's fun action, you're swinging all over the place, it has a lovely cutesy art style and a decent soundtrack. It's like everything you want in a game. Now, no, it's not going to set the world on fire, but Grapple Dog, I think, is a nice little gem. That one is on sale until June the 25th, that's 60% off. Alright, now it's the time where we get our SAVALOYs out and look at a load of games that are less than the price of a shiny, robust red sausage. What am I doing? Someone just walked in at that moment and stared at me like, what is your life, Mark? Well, anyway, ignore the haters. Let's carry on. First up, we got Super Meat Boy Forever. Just over a quid. £1.59. Now, they took the Super Meat Boy world and they turned it into an endless runner, and when it came out, performance was absolutely crap. But they patched it up. It works well enough. I don't personally like Super Meat Boy being this way, but it doesn't stop it from still being quite a fun game. I think you'd be looking at around 60 or 70%. I prefer my meat to be well within my control rather than constantly running away. Then Broken Sword 5, yes, you should definitely own that. For £2.49, that's 90% off for one of the best point and click adventures of all time. I mean, there's just no reason not to. It's got George Stobart and Nico in it. Right, that's all I need to say. Lovely art style, really interesting story. Is it as good as the older ones? No, probably not, but nostalgia is a very difficult thing to overcome. If it's into 5.3 gigs, definitely add it to your SAVALOY selection. Windbound at just £2.39 is another absolute steal. What a lot of people don't realise is this was massively patched up after launch, and even just as a sandbox where you go around sailing to different islands, it's nice. But with the survival elements and the little gameplay elements of going to the towers and activating them and then sailing into this huge storm, it's very cool. For that price, yes please. Out Buddies DX at just £1.49. It's just crazy. It's all set in and around a sunken fortress of the old gods, located deep in the South Atlantic Ocean. And I mean, for the soundtrack alone, this one's worth it. Wonder if there's a vinyl with this, because I would like to pick it up. It's a Metroidvania if you were wondering, and that comes with everything you would expect. But what it does come with that most don't have is including an element of co-op. You can actually have your friend control your little buddy. The Brilliant Minute is also in the SAVALOY selection this week at £1.79, and it's a weird little adventure game that I think was actually a collaboration between a group of friends that were obviously developing games. And yeah, you've got a bizarre black and white adventure called Minute for a quid that won't take you more than a couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours to finish, but it's a lovely little experience. Manages to tell a worthwhile little tale within that time and in just 178 megs. Plus, it's published by Devolver, so you know it's good. Last but not least on this episode, it's Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. Man, I played this a long time ago. It's currently £2.49, so right on the edge of an expensive sausage, but it's one of the best co-op games I've ever played. Now, you don't have to play it co-op, but it is definitely designed that way. And at the end, it's just a tearjerker. It will get you. It really will. And that brings us to the end of the first of our summer sales videos. Remember what I said, you can save yourself 10% on all of these purchases. Just use code SwitchUp over at switchup.gg, which will instantly get you a 5% discount, but will also give you 5% back in our SwitchUp coins, which essentially is going to act like cashback that you can use whenever you want. I apologise in advance to your wallet. If you are the meme with the guy looking inside, it's not my fault. I think we've had a fun one this time. I've really enjoyed making this, and a big thanks to our Patreons, our members, and all of you that enjoy SAVALOYs. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers, guys. See ya!